Hi everybody and welcome to this playthrough for Pro and Expert Division in the City Park 9-hole cup that we have coming up this week. We have a variety of wind angles here. We don't know what the tournament winds are going to be, but assuming it's the same as the previous 9-hole cups, it's going to be one set for the qualifying round, and regardless of division they will all change for the final round on Saturday. So we're playing from Middle Tee, Pro and Expert Division. Before we get started, please do hit thumbs up on the video if you're enjoying the content. Make sure you subscribe to the channel, it's totally free, and if you switch the bell button on, YouTube will notify you when we upload new content or go live. We've got a couple of options on some of the holes, so like I said, with those different wind angles, you will have a couple of options ready up your sleeve when Thursday comes upon us. Don't forget, check out the City Park playlist as well. Individual videos for all 9 holes and a general walkthrough for all divisions. Link in the video description down below. I'm going to talk you through the adjustments and the elevations that I'm using here, so I hope you find it useful. Here we go with hole number 1. Two options to show you here on hole number 1. In tailwind, I'm going to use the Grizzly, and I'm using 4 bars of backspin and a little bit of side spin as well. Very difficult shot to drop from here due to the inconsistent bounces, and also the green is a little bit slopey as well. Medium distance, 10% elevation. I'm actually changing the backspin there. I go with a bit less in the end. The other option is you set up a bit further forward if you don't have as much tailwind. White ring touching the fringe and also the rough on the right. But here it's all about trying to find a good spot. As I said, if you move slightly to the left or right, you will get a weird or definitely a different angle on the bounce. So mid plus 10 with the long iron. Any form of headwind, I'm going to go with a Guardian and a Marlin. We need a Marlin because it's minimum line with the power 0 ball. Max backspin, half a bar side spin to the left, and I'm aiming with the second bounce up on the top right corner of the green. That is because there is a slope that will bring the ball back down with the backspin. Minimum distance, 10% elevation is what I'm playing here. And actually, this does have a fairly decent chance of dropping. It's not something you're going to dial in, but it has got a decent chance here rather than the long iron because you're going to get a better first bounce. And it's a Marlin. What else is there not to like about this shot? We are a little bit short here. Could aim slightly higher up, but also get a bit more of the slope there. But min plus 10 with the Guardian and a power 0. Hole number 2, very, very difficult par 4. There is a power hook you can play here, but I want to show you a conservative route with a Titan. Stretching out to find our position, going with a little bit of topspin, 2 bars side spin to the left. And you will always need left spin here because you are bouncing on a slope that will kick the ball to the right. Adjust max plus 10, push up to max, and then I'm going also, even with wind from right to left, with half a ball of curl to the left. Could have gone with a bit more topspin here, but there is a glitch roll, and I'd rather be short than taking a glitch roll into the rough or the sand. So drive distance there, 344. Second shot going with a 180-yard wood club, so the Cataclysm or the Big Dog. We can of course play with a Berserker, which would be recommended in headwind, purely because then you will reach a lot easier, especially if you have headwind on the second shot. You won't need to overpower, and if you're brave in tailwinds or crosswinds, you can play a rough bump sniper with a power 5 ball. But here I'm bouncing up with backspin and left spin, stretching out so I can use more backspin, because once I've adjusted I am going to push up the rings that I'm stretching out. Max plus 0 is the adjustment here, max plus 0. And once we're done pushing up those rings, which was 2, and then we're going to take our shot. And as you will see, the slope on the beginning of the green here will kick the ball to the left and bring it in very nicely towards the pin. We do get a zoom in here. We don't drop it for an eagle, but those eagles are rare. But just to secure the birdie here is absolutely fine. This is a very, very difficult hole. Hole number 3, going to show you here an eagle, and an eagle by all means is not guaranteed on this hole. It's a very long par 5. We do have tailwind, but in Pro Division, not going to have enough really to send it, but obviously an expert with more developed drivers, you can do that with a good wind speed. Playing with topspin here in the quarterback at max distance with the Titan. I'm going to adjust max plus 10 and then pushing back up to max. Obviously if you have the rock in level 7 or above, I would play with that. You will set up nearer the lamppost with less topspin. and hopefully more ball guide. Obviously, if you do have stronger wind, don't push up to max in this instance, otherwise you will be a little bit too long. We just want to get towards the end of the fairway, don't need to push it massively. This is absolutely fine, don't want to risk the rough, and even if you're shorter, it's also going to be fine as well. Second shot, I'm using the Cataclysm here for the distance. Obviously, if we do get headwind, then we would have to overpower. So using the 180-yard wood club here makes the risk of using overpower much less. So here I'm just wanting to transport up there. I don't want to push this too hard, however, otherwise I risk being in short iron range for the third shot. And I want to use the Grizzly. Because I've got tailwind, I don't go with that much topspin at all. Obviously, if you do have level crosswind or headwind, go with 2 to 3 bars of topspin. Adjust max plus 0, bounce directly after the rough. Minor great left is not going to be an issue. And this ball, we just want to go up around this area. It's a little bit short, but we're still going to be okay. Maybe another 10 or 20 yards would have been good. But it will still work. And we're using the Grizzly here, and we're going to work out from min and max line where we are in the club at the rough. I estimate this to be 40%, so just before medium distance. Yellow ring touching the rough, and even with Grizzly level 6, we can apply spin and get the ball guide to the hole. Bit of top spin, and you will need some left spin as well. Wiggle the target around, and you'll see there's a bit where the ball guide really doesn't deviate. Have the ball guide to the hole, adapt spins as you need to. Then you're going to adjust true club distance minus 20% elevation. So I did 40% slider minus 20. If you're not familiar with the slider, do check out the Academy tutorials on the channel homepage. Links in the video description down below. Bounces on the rough and we roll out with the topspin, takes that little slope and funnels down very nicely to the pin for a beautiful eagle. Not a guarantee, so adjust accurately and the eagle is yours. Two options here on hole number 4. Tailwind, I'm going to use the Grizzly, and here I'm using a Navigator in Pro because we don't need any side spin. Obviously, if you want to cut the wind down, you will need a Kingmaker if you're playing in Expert. So we are adding 1 bar of topspin, and I'm aiming as best I can. Sadly, I don't have a 4.4 ball guide with the Grizzly level 6. It does help if you do have that on this shot, but we can still get close. So I'm aiming at the pin here. Sadly, the tailwind does push us slightly to the right, so I needed to aim a little bit to the left on this occasion. Max plus 5 is the adjustment for this long iron shot. Max plus 5. Hit perfect, and we bounce, and as you will see, the speed is absolutely beautiful, but we do miss to the right. But a very good approach there in any form of tailwind. Level crosswind or headwind, I'm going to play the Sniper rough bump, and we do this by start with the Berserker ball, power 5, find the complete minimum distance line, yellow ring touching the rough. 1 bar of backspin, 2 bars side spin to the left. I go with 0.9 here, but it's a little bit high. So I'd go with 1 backspin, 2 left spin, change to a Titan or a Kingmaker, and then adjust max plus 0. Weird adjustment, but it does work. Max plus 0. Like I said, important to start with a Berserker though to find the absolute correct starting point. Hitting perfect, and this one catches the rough very nicely, and we're using the slope on the top half of the green there to bring it in just slightly high. Like I said, a little bit more backspin, we'd have got that one in the hole. So there were 2 options for hole 4, and we've got 2 options for hole 5. Predominantly headwind here, so I'm playing on the right hand side. Problem here, the fairway does slope, so any problem with your adjustment or a great ball will kick the ball either to the left or the right, usually in the opposite direction to the great ball that you hit because of the slope of the fairway. Top spin and left spin here, be careful of the tree, it is in play. I'm going here maximum distance, 10% elevation. Max plus 10 takes us into overpower, so I am going to use a bit of overpower as well, just to make sure that we do bounce over nicely. We do sadly catch a great ball to the left, so it is going to catch the slope and bounce us to the right, but we're still going to be okay. There you see it just kicks to the right. And here we could have pushed it a little bit further, but I didn't want to risk the tree. So if you're most likely playing on the right hand side in headwind, you're going to be left with a minimum distance long iron shot. As you can see here from the wind angle, it's almost a little bit of tailwind, to be honest. It is flickering in that direction. So I push up a little bit from minimum distance, playing with 4 bar backspin and some side spin to the left. Aim as best we can. Obviously we don't have fully developed ball guide here, so we've got to fill in the blanks with our brains on this one. I adjust here 5% slider, no elevation, however this is under adjusted. So in the crosswind should have gone really with 10% elevation instead. Do hit perfect though, so we do give it a chance so we can test our adjustment. Bounces very nicely but just misses to the left, a little bit more adjustment, we'd got that one in. Second version of this hole now, we have predominantly crosswind, so any crosswind or tailwind I'm going to play on the left. Using a Titan, stretching out to find the landing position here, we need 1.5 rings extra. 2 bars of right spin, we're always going to need right spin playing on this side because otherwise the bounce will kick us left. Max plus 10, pushing up to max and then adding also those rings. We adjusted into overpower, so we're going to add those rings. If you do have tailwind, then you will push up to max. So we're adding the rings we stretched out to what we adjusted into, 2.5 rings of overpower with our max plus 10, and then a little bit of curl as well. Looked as if we clipped the trees there, but I did review the replay and we didn't. It just got a weird bounce, but we still roll very nicely and we are in short iron range for our attempt at the eagle. Playing true club distance here, plus 10% elevation. So find the min and max lines and work out where you are with your club range. I go with 2 bars backspin, 2 bars left spin, and I'm estimating this to be in between mid and max, so I play 75% slider, 10% elevation. Again, we don't have thorn 8 or 9, so you've just got to leave your ball guide short. If you are playing with thorn 8 or 9, then of course have your ball guide going into the cup. So 75% slider, 10% elevation, hitting perfect. We bounce here on that nice little pocket of fairway between the fringe and the rough and drops beautifully for an eagle. Hole number 6, we have crosswind with a little bit of tailwind here. Don't be put off if you're in pro with the APOC 4. You can go with any other driver with distance with topspin. So the Thor's Hammer is good if you have 6 bars of topspin, or the Extra Mile level 8+. If you don't have that, you can do it with 4.5 topspin, but you will be short. So you could instead go with a big topper and set up further back. Max plus 20 is the adjustment here, even though we are not at max distance. And we want to aim there. We don't want to catch the downward slope here, otherwise you will get a weird bounce. So max plus 20, 6 bars of topspin, 2 bars right spin. Could have gone with a bit of right curl here because we do go down left hand side of the fairway even with a perfect. And this will make our second shot a little bit longer, so if we do go with a bit of right curl, we'll be about 10 yards nearer the pin for the second shot. 180 yard wood club going to be needed in all scenarios here. If we do have headwind, play down to the right hand side of what we can see here where the white ring is, bounce with top spin and left spin and just get yourself to the right hand fringe for a wedge. But any form of tailwind, we can bounce directly over the bunker with backspin and left spin. Stretching out to find the position, adjusting max plus 0 and then pushing up those rings, which takes me to max in this case. Problem here is I go with too much curl. Only need outer wall left curl in this wind. I over curl it, but still the important thing here, as the albatross is rare, is just to clear the bunker and get on the green for a safe eagle, which we achieve there. Very nice easy putt. Hole number 7, and unless we've got a load of tailwind, then we're going to lay up here on the drive to the left hand side. 4.5 topspin, 3 bars side spin to the left. The katana is good here because we do need the left spin. Otherwise, we're going to be threatening the sand. Max plus 10 is the adjustment here with the Extra Mile level 7. And then even with the wind from right to left, we're going with a bit of left curl. Obviously, go with more curl if you've got wind from the opposite direction because that will push you into the sand otherwise. Hit perfect, bounces very nicely. Any form of headwind here You will adjust into overpower even with the power 3 ball, in which case add at least 1 ring into what you adjust into, because the ball will check up and you will clip the rough. Second shot here in tailwind is going to be max distance grizzly, but in crosswind or headwind going to be a minimum distance sniper. So I find the min line here, adapt spins to get the ball guide going to the hole. Problem here is the fairway and the green also a little bit inconsistent. So try and find a decent spot. It is difficult to do so, plus coupled with the fact when you adjust here you may adjust to a slightly higher or lower point, which will of course mess your shot up in terms of distance. Here I adjust minimum distance plus 10% elevation, and we do give this one a perfect, which is always good. But look at the second bounce here, or rather from the first bounce, it just checks up a little bit more than I expect there, so we do end up going short in line. Could maybe aim with the ball guide through the cup slightly, but it's by no means a guarantee here. Just to get that close on that hole is very good indeed. Hole number 8, the slopey par 3, and it's going to be the Guardian all day and every day. There is a risky rough bump here with the sniper if you want to do it, but for me, I just go with the Guardian, max backspin in this case, and we're going to aim just at the front of the green because we do have tailwind, and aiming second bounce level with the pin. If you have headwind, then the second bounce will need to be a row or 2 of green squares beyond the pin, because the headwind will compress the flight of the ball. Mid distance plus 10 is what I adjust here. Going with a navigator, don't need a lot of side spin. Can use a kingmaker if you want to cut the wind down if you're playing in expert division. Bounces very nicely, and this is one of those frustrating holes. We think we're going to get it in, but it's just going to miss to the side. But still a decent look at it, but the Guardian is going to be the play for me on that par 3, regardless of the wind. And finally on to hole 9, which actually does have a decent chance at albatross. Extra mile level 7, going with the katana here because we have tailwind, but otherwise use a power 3 ball, using 3 bars side spin to the right with 3 bar of top spin. Red ring touching the rough on the right. Adjustment here, max plus 5. You can use a rock if you've got it in high level, like level 8 or 9 is good here. Could probably do it with level 7 as well, but push up afterwards. Half a ball of curl to the right here in this wind scenario. Max plus 5 was the adjustment. Going to bounce, cutting the corner over, missing the rough nicely, and we don't want to push it too hard. We want to make sure we are on the fairway. Second shot from here in tailwind or crosswind, going to be with the sniper, so we don't need overpower. 4 bars backspin from here. Ball guide just short of the pin because we do have tailwind. Here I'm not quite at max, so what I do here is estimate 90% slider minus 10% elevation, as this is uphill. However, we do need to tweak this one slightly, and you'll see why in a moment. This is a shot we can use our plus yardage reference to try and get some yardage notes dialed in on this hole. Good chance of an albatross though. We hit it perfect. Bounces on the pad here. If you do get headwind, I would recommend playing with the Guardian or something with more distance. Just lipping out on the right there, so maybe 85% slider would have been better. Thank you very much for watching the playthrough with variable wins for Pro and Expert Division. Hope you found it useful, and I hope to see you all very, very soon on the channel. Good luck in the City Park 9-hole Cup. See you soon. Bye for now.